Oops, sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize I was at the end of my last segment when it cut off like that. So we're at Brett's turn 2. I've survived the first turn of magic where he made me burn through all my scrolls and killed a damsel. I went through a second phase of magic where his dice just utterly failed him, and I ended up losing just a few guys from everything he had to add at me. So now I'm actually able to get into some combats. So you can see on the left, I charge my Pegasus Knights into the Salamander, and they're going to, assuming they win, they're going to get to overrun and help me in that fight with the Engine of the Gods. My Grail Knights are in with a unit of Skinks. I believe he didn't flee because he thought he'd be caught anyway. I'm not positive about that. Yeah, that would be a trebuchet landing a stone right on the head of that Stegodon. And that was the beginning of the end for my opponent. It was, a long guess with my range. I hit it right on. That trebuchet worked beautifully. Hit that thing, strength 10. Anything would have wounded it. And then I had to roll for how many wounds it did, and I rolled a 6. So the big Stegodon is taken out. And that was just, that's a big fear. Because that's a nasty unit. There's 2 Croxagores, all those Skinks just making it a bother. But that Stegodon made that thing a beast, and he's dead. So that was my shooting phase, and we go to the combat phase, and you can see my knights are all the way up here. Obviously, they charged the Skinks and just either killed them in combat or ran them down, but they're all dead. The Salamander's dead on this side. The Salamander on the other side got killed. Oh, yeah, there's a shot. Trebuchet taking credit. And on this side, the Pegasus Knights got the charge into the Stegodon. My general was already there. My opponent issued a challenge, and so I accepted with my general, directed my attacks at the large target Stegodon, and surprised my opponent because he didn't realize that I had Killing Blow against large targets on my general. And 3 hits went through, rolled a 6, and killed it. So this is him modeling my general, giving it to him. Yeah, he was being a very good sport about it. This was a very, very bad turn for my opponent, with his magic phase failing him, and having the rock kill his one Stegodon and have my general Killing Blow the other Stegodon. The game just went totally in my favor on turn 2. And it's a real shame because my opponent's strategy of rushing this guy up and hitting me with everything I had, he did a great job of taking my magic defense away, and his magic just failed him. And then to have me get a lucky stone throw and a Killing Blow was just brutal. It's a shame because it shouldn't have gone this far awry. So anyway, that's how the board looks after everything except for those 2 big blocks and that 1 small unit of Pterodons is dead. And there's another look at the board. Oh, I'm sorry, on the right, I forgot about that. His guys dropped rocks on me on the far right, dropped rocks on my Pegasus Knights. I charged him and whipped a few attacks. We're really just stuck in battle over there. But he still only has those units of Pterodons left, and then those 2 big blocks in the middle. So Lizard's turn 3. Not much I can do. I ran so far forward with my Grail Knights. I can't flee from a charge because they're immune to psychology. So he just wiped him out. But what he's going to do, though, as soon as he declared those charges, I knew my guys were dead, and there's nothing I could do about it. But he just offered the flank of his Crocscore unit to my BSB unit, and he offered the rear of it to my Knight of the Realm unit. And then I have everybody else there. Now you can see I'm losing more and more Knights Errant. That's his magic phase. His Slann is still able to cast spells, and he can see that unit, so he's still picking on me. And there's another quarter down with another Comet of Cassandra that's been successfully cast. His Pterodons charged into the rear of my men-at-arms. They failed to kill enough, and because he got under, I turned around and attacked back, he was under unit strength 5, he didn't have a rear rank bonus and didn't negate my ranks, so I ended up winning combat and chased him away. So this says Lizard's turn 3. This is technically the beginning of of Bretonnian my turn, I think, because that die on the Comet of Cassandra means that it didn't go off the beginning of my turn, and so it's going to be, I guess, more powerful or whatever next turn. But you can see my Grail Knights are dead, and his guys are just kind of stuck there in a real awkward position. And yeah, this was my turn. His guys were fleeing, so I charged him with my Pegasus Knights and my Men-at-Arms. I think I charged him with my Men-at-Arms, and he had to flee, and he was off the board. So, Brett's turn 3. I missed an important picture here, but basically, I flew my Pegasus Knights into the flank of the Temple Guard unit, thinking there's no way I can win that combat, but I'm going to take my General and my Knights Errant into the flank of his Croxagore unit, take my Knights of the Realm into their rear, and because the Knights of the Realm is the biggest unit, assuming we win combat, we'll chase him down right into the Slans unit and have everybody combined in that combat. Well, the stupid Knights of the Realm failed their fear test. So I was still able to win the combat pretty easily, but when we overran off the board. And I'm glad to be off the board because that way the Slan can't cast spells at me during his turn. But that was supposed to go much better. What did go well for me, though, was the Pegasus Knights actually won that combat, despite the fact that they didn't negate rank bonuses. They were able to do enough wounds to win combat, and so they didn't get chased down. But that was a little bit disappointing. I really thought I would have had every guy in his army dead by the end of my turn 3, and didn't quite work out that way because of that failed fear charge, that failed fear test. So, bad picture, Lizard's turn 4. This just shows that look at the Pegasus Knight at the left, it's broken. His measuring tape accidentally caught on it, and it got flung off the table and broke. But anyway, in combat, they're still hanging in there. I'm still winning combat. I actually think he won combat, but not by much, and I held. You can see my Knights of the Realm lost another guy to magic. Brett's turn 4. My Knights of the Realm unit's back on the table. Technically, it's facing his unit, but I didn't want that big tray sticking off the end of the table and it getting flipped or anything. So I'm facing him ready for 2 rear charges, or flank charges, I'm sorry, into his Slans unit. Knights of the Realm are turned, ready to go. Pegasus Knight's still holding in there. You can see his unit isn't going anywhere, but I'm just whittling him down. Of course, he gets another comet off, and I think he couldn't hurt me where the points mattered without hurting himself as well, so he just targeted these bowmen. And even though this says Lizard's turn 5, it must have been Brett turn 5 because I moved my bowman away from it. So Brett turn 5, these are all the charges going in there, and at this point that's the game. I never did break that unit in combat, but I killed every last one of them. And so the scenario for this game too was if you kill your opponent's general and then spend a turn hacking off his head, you get a bunch of victory points and stuff. So I killed him on turn 5. There was no turn 6, so in theory I spent turn 6 cutting the head off that Slan, and my opponent was gracious enough to allow me to take another victory shot with that. So that real interesting. That should have been a much closer game. Could have been a devastating game for me. So I felt at this point very, very relieved to have won it, and to have won it with by such a wide margin. So we're two games into the tournament, and I'm tied for. I'm either first or second place overall. So I know the third game is going to be against a real tough opponent, and anxious to see how that turns out.